Salutations, people of the internet. Matt here from Hydro Gaming, and welcome to episode 11 in Knightwatch: A Journey, the devlog series where we as a community create our very own RPG in the Unreal Engine. Now, I'm going to start today's episode by apologizing for missing my upload last week. My fiance and I both got very sick. Don't worry, not with COVID. And we were both during all my days off, and by the time I got better, I had to go back to work. And that being the case, I didn't get nearly as much time to work on last week's episode as I would have liked. And with the topic of last week's episode being what it is, it's not something I wanted to rush. I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with working on the actual game world, so we don't have to sit in my developer room for the entirety of this series. Now, I know that hint doesn't really reveal a lot about what I'm working on. Could I be working on the game world like I literally just said? Who knows? Am I starting with the opening village and the abandoned lab like I talked about way back in episode 1, which you should definitely watch if you haven't, but don't judge too harshly because I was brand new to YouTube and didn't know what I was doing? Maybe. That's the topic of the episode, in case you couldn't figure it out. I'm not going to start talking because as soon as I do, the editors are just going to cut me off with the intro. So, getting into today's episode. Last week, or I guess the week before, we gave you a little sneak peek of the weapon class and rarity system we implemented. That will also cover things like armor, potions, all items in the game, and obviously weapons. Now, in that episode, you saw a lot of upcoming features. This is actually because I didn't have the version of the project saved from before I implemented the rarity system. For those of you who don't know, the way I make the Knightwatch series is I have a literal crap ton of external SSDs that I save my previous builds on, as well as the footage from the OBS recording studio. So, for example, this SSD has the builds from episode 6 to 10, as well as the corresponding gameplay footage. Now, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure episode 6 is around the time where we switch from the default Unreal Engine mannequin to our own customizable character. So, for example, in the builds and the pieces of footage on this SSD and onwards, we're using our own customizable character, whereas in the first SSD with episodes 1 through 5, we were using the Unreal Engine default mannequin. Now, as you can imagine, with all these different builds and pieces of footage, I have to do this to save space on my computer. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I'm very anal about version control, and I'm super paranoid about having a corrupted build and having no backups. That being the case, I have dozens of these little external hard drives where I store builds and footage of previous builds. And to keep track of what each episode number on each drive corresponds with, I have an upload schedule. As you can see here, we're a little bit behind. Today's episode was actually supposed to go up on July 18th, about halfway through last month, so now I'm not going to blur out the titles of any of these future episodes, so just don't look and don't spoil the episodes for yourself. We're going on the honor system here, people. So yeah, you saw a lot of new stuff that's actually going to be implemented as we move through the series, and today we're going to show off one of those systems. I don't remember what feature exactly, so I'm going to consult with the upload schedule. So, today's episode will include working on our weapon class system, as well as implementing new features for our guns like a stat system. This will include rate of fire, damage level, ammo capacity, etc. Now, if you remember back to episode 0, I said I wanted to create a weapon system that's similar to what's in games like Mass Effect or Destiny. This means that I want to make sure each weapon feels unique and special in its own way. So, for example, I don't want all the weapons to fire the same way. So one weapon might fire at a slow rate of fire, but an increased damage level, something like the Suros regime in Destiny 1. Or another weapon might fire at a heightened rate of fire, but a lowered damage level, like the Necrochasm, also in Destiny 1. So, that's what we're going to be covering today. And with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the Unreal Engine. Let's roll. Okay, so to create a system where we can determine which class a weapon belongs to, we need to create what's called an enumeration. Basically, this is a shortcut that allows us to use one line of code where we would otherwise have to create several different lines of code for our class system. Now, this is really handy for keeping track of what state an object is in, or what type that object is, when it has several different possible states or types. For example, guns in our game could be a shotgun, a light machine gun, a pistol, and an enumeration system will help the game keep track of what type any specific gun is. Now, for example, one of our weapons, let's say the yellow assault rifle we've been using since guns were introduced in episode 6, I believe, that would fall into our standard assault rifle class. And another gun, like the shotgun here, would obviously fall into the shotgun class. Now, by using this enumerator chart, we can help the game differentiate between what classes a gun will fall into. Now, this is extremely important for a variety of reasons. The main one that comes to mind is animation. For example, when we fire a rifle, we don't want our character to play an animation as if they're firing a pump-action shotgun, or reload one shell at a time when the gun is designed for an entire magazine to be swapped out. As you can see, the reload animation for our shotgun is a lot different from the reload animation for an assault rifle. Now, an enumeration system helps the game keep track of what type of gun is. So after we've made our enumeration class system, yes, all of these weapon classes will be, or perhaps have already been, added to the game. We have to code for the weapons to actually make use of the system. As you can see here, based on whatever class the weapon falls into, be it rifle, sniper, pistol, etc., a different animation will be played, as well as a different firing sound effect each time the gun is shot, and a different reload animation whenever the gun is reloaded. Now, this system is extra handy when it comes to introducing one-off exotic drops from bosses or quests. Like, for example, totally no foreshadowing here, one of our exotic weapons could fire molten rounds or flaming rounds, for example. Now, the character would shoot the gun as normal, but when they reload the gun, because the magazine is so hot from the molten rounds, they may singe their hand and shake it off in, I don't know, I guess in pain, from burning their hand every time they reload the gun. It's simple little quirks and changes like that that really make the biggest difference in making exotic weapons actually feel unique rather than being the exact same run-of-the-mill guns you would find collecting normally in the world. This will make exotic weapon drops feel like they're actually unique and special rather than just reskins of other weapons you've already seen before. Looking at you, Fabian Strategy from Destiny 1, which is totally just a copy and paste of the Zerenia D. What, you don't believe me? How about now? So what, they added walls to the front of the gun without at least doing some cool special effects like flames or something? Like, I get using the base model because modeling a totally new gun takes a while, but have some like purple flames coming out of the barrel and like a bomber girl or something painted on the side. Or maybe at the very least some badass music that plays every time the character equips the gun. Like so.
Motherfuckers, come on, motherfuckers, come on, motherfuckers, come on, motherfuckers, come on, motherfuckers, come on. I got 7 like 11s, about 8, 30.
Now let's add the stat system to the game as well. So, in our blueprint, we've coded for specific float values for each weapon stat. Float is just a number, so for example, if I run at a rate of 10 kilometers per hour, the float value for my movement speed would be 10 based on our unit of measurement, which would be kilometers per hour. Similarly, if we wanted to fire 6 million rounds per minute out of our assault rifle, we would set our float value to 6 million. Again, depending on our units of measurement, in this case we'd assume our unit of measurement is rounds per minute. Therefore, our float value is set to 6 million rounds per minute. Now, this system is great because later on when we add our inventory system, we can also use it not just for weapons, but anything really, to code things like armor bonuses, item weight, and monetary value. Did I sound smart when I was explaining all that? I bet I sounded pretty smart. No? You're not gonna play the I just said something smart thing? You guys are so stupid. You know, if I said something dumb like 2 plus 2 is 87, you'd probably play the... So in Engine, now that we've created a system that codes for what type or category a weapon would fall into, you can see them here, we can now differentiate between how the weapon would fire, different sorts of animations, etc. So right now, this gun is set as a light machine gun, but if I change the item type to shotgun, instead of playing our light machine gun animations, the game would instead play shotgun animations, which wouldn't look right. So we can see how that looks in action. So our light machine gun is a gun that fires at a higher rate of fire with low damage per round, and obviously our shotgun fires like a shotgun. So these being coded to be different item types, you can see how different they look in practice. So there's our light machine gun, and there's our shotgun. Now we'll show off our weapon stat system. I figure since we've already covered the rate of fire system in depth, we may as well show that off. So before we begin, let's just look at how our gun fires with the default assault rifle rate of fire. So we'll take our yellow assault rifle that we've been working with since episode 6, and we can see how that fires. So right now, this assault rifle has a rate of fire set at 0.25. Now in engine, how we have it set up is it's the amount of time it takes per shot fired. So the lower that value, the more shots we fired. So our assault rifle, it takes about a quarter of a second to fire a round. Now our light machine gun, we've got the rate of fire set to 0.1. So it takes 1/10 of a second to fire a round. As you can see, the light machine guns fire a lot faster. But even if it's two guns from the same class, we can still modify our rate of fire system so that different assault rifles have different damage levels or rates of fire to make each weapon feel unique rather than just the same copy-pasted asset over and over again. And being that right now we have, I think, around 70 different guns in the game, with more being added every week, it's going to give players a lot of variety and choice in what weapons they use and how different they actually feel from one another. Now, in addition to changes in ammo capacity and rate of fire, different weapon classes will also have different recoil patterns. So in engine, if we pick up our light machine gun, for example, and our shotgun, you can see the different fire patterns each gun has. So a light machine gun, this one, I'm trying to work on a new exotic that doesn't have a lot of bullet spread, so this one you're going to notice it fires in a relatively straight line, with some spread, obviously. So you can see we've got a bit of bullet spread with the LMG. Now if I switch to the shotgun, that shot pattern is a lot more diverse with a lot more bullet spread. And the further away we move, the further that bullet spread is going to move as well. So another really fun part of our weapon stat system is that we can change these stats on the fly to make the system for adding new weapons to the game extremely streamlined. As long as we've made new models for the guns, this means we can import them to the engine and create a new weapon class in a relatively short period of time. So after adding a new gun, we can set different things like clip size, what the ammo is at when you normally find the gun, what its max ammo capacity is, how much ammo you get when you pick up ammo for the gun, its rate of fire, and its damage, as well as the image that shows up on your heads-up display, where the gun goes when you equip it. So I only have one slot for holding guns right now, that's the right hand, and where it goes when you unequip. Now, I have 3 different slots on the character. I have back, back 2, and back 3. So for example, when I pick up a shotgun and an assault rifle, the shotgun goes into back slot 2, and the assault rifle will go into back slot 3, with back slot 1 being reserved for light machine guns and sniper rifles. So each different weapon class has a different slot that it fits into on the back. In addition, pistols will be held in a holster on the character's thigh. So as I was saying, the thing I like about the stat system we've created here is it's very easy to modify to make guns feel different. So let's say I wanted to create an exotic light machine gun that had an insane rate of fire with limited bullet spread. I could go to the fire rate here, and we'll use this gun as our guinea pig, and I could set the fire rate to 0.025, for example. So that means to fire a bullet, it takes 0.025 seconds per bullet. So that is an extremely fast rate of fire. So let's try it out. And just to make things a bit more fun, we'll activate phase mode on the gun as well. Exotic gun idea, anybody? So as you can see, the rate of fire is extremely fast, and the system is very versatile and makes it very easy to create new weapons in our game. And that, people, is our brand new stat and class system. In future episodes, when we add weapons like the sword and the bow, which we totally haven't added already, I'll be sure to implement the stat system for those as well. Anyways, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Checking In with Also Matt, where we consult with our very own in-house game critic, and he tells us exactly what he thinks of the game system we made this week. Let's go.
Oh, okay. So we've got some coffee beans, I guess. Is this video sponsored? Is this a sponsor? Wait, what the was that your intro? What's with the coffee beans? It doesn't even make any sense.
Hey Maddie, how's it going? Say hi to all three of the lovely folks out there watching.
Hey everybody, it's also Matt coming at you through the power of the internet on this fine Saturday morning, or whatever day it is. Matt's been kind of unreliable with his upload schedule lately.
Well, thank you for such a lovely intro. Moving on, this week we have something pretty cool for you. This week we implemented a class and stat system for our weapons where we can change things like weapon type, shooting and reload animations, rate of fire, amount of damage, ammo capacity, and so on. So, this week Matt will be rating our game out of 10 swamp rats with which Shrek could make a mean swamp rat stew. Okay, here we go. So, we implemented a system where we can change things such as ammo capacity, rate of fire, etc. So here's the gun we started off with. When we fire, it fires a little slow, but it's an assault rifle, so high damage, low rate of fire. Now if we switch to something classified as a light machine gun, for example, you can see it fires a lot faster. Now we'll have a lower damage count per round, but a much higher rate of fire. And we've also added another weapon class, this being the shotgun, and with our different weapon classes, we can code for different types of animations. So when we fire a rifle, we play a rifle firing animation, but if we switch to our shotgun, we play a shotgun firing animation, and with different weapon classes, we also have different reload animations that go with each one. So there's our shotgun reload animation, and there's our rifle reload animation. And as you can see, we have different unequipped slots for each kind of rifle or any other gun in the game. Our light machine gun will be equipped on our left back slot, whereas shotguns will be equipped in the middle back slot. So, what do you think?
All right, I'm back. Let's see this thing.
It's over. I already did it. Did you leave or something?
Yeah, I didn't see it. 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. You motherfucker.